The world is changing faster than anyone imagined. Nations tremble, leaders promise peace while preparing for war, and technology creeps closer to our very souls. Somewhere between the chaos of progress and the silence of forgotten truth, ancient words are coming alive. This is the Final Convergence. Long ago, the prophets spoke of a time when knowledge would increase and people would run to and fro across the earth. They saw a generation that would witness both unimaginable brilliance and unbearable darkness side by side. That generation is ours. In the heart of the Middle East, the same land where kings once ruled and prophets once wept, history is folding back on itself. Every headline from that tiny strip of land echoes words written thousands of years ago. They said the nations would gather against her. They said peace would be promised but never secured. And now the world watches as negotiations rise and crumble like waves upon stone. While diplomats chase treaties, another power is quietly building. Invisible lines of code, satellites, biometric scanners, systems born from convenience, promising safety and unity. Yet the more connected we become, the more control slips from our hands. Prophecy warned of a moment when every transaction, every decision, every breath would pass through a single gate. Not a mark etched in flesh perhaps, but an allegiance written in code. This is not fear-mongering, it is recognition. The same voice that whispered in Eden still whispers today, "You will be like gods." It hides behind innovation, behind the glow of screens, behind the pride of progress. And while the world applauds, prophecy quietly ticks forward. But the story is not only digital, it is spiritual. Scripture speaks of a great deception, so convincing that even the faithful could be led astray. People crave signs and wonders, chase movements, crown new messiahs of politics and technology. They mistake charisma for truth and emotion for revelation. And as hearts grow cold, chaos dresses itself as enlightenment. Yet even in the storm, there is a pattern. The convergence isn't random, it's rehearsal. Each crisis, each breakthrough, each rebellion draws the timeline tighter. We are watching the pieces align, kingdoms shifting, economies merging, voices crying for one global solution. The ancient vision of iron mixed with clay is no longer myth. It is modern governance struggling to hold together what was never meant to unite without the Creator. Prophets spoke of a place where the final spark would ignite, Jerusalem, the city of peace that has known no peace. They said the nations would look to her, that every decision would somehow circle back to that small hill. And as the world's attention turns once more to that ancient ground, prophecy feels less like history and more like headline. But prophecy is never given to cause panic. It is a lamp, not a siren. Its purpose is not to paralyze us with fear, but to awaken us with purpose. If the final convergence is unfolding, then so is the final invitation. To choose truth over comfort, humility over pride, eternity over the illusion of control. The story is not over. Soon we will trace the rise of deception, the counterfeit peace, and the final confrontation between darkness and light. What comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about the world we live in. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. Matthew 24:42. The hour grows late, and the noise of the world grows louder. Every screen preaches a new gospel, the gospel of self, of comfort, of endless progress. Yet beneath the shimmer of achievement, hearts are restless. The soul of humanity is starving while the table of technology overflows. The prophets saw this too. They said people would heap up teachers to tell them what they want to hear, and truth would fall in the streets like dust ignored by the crowd. Deception rarely announces itself. It comes wrapped in light, smiling, fluent in the language of hope. It speaks of unity, tolerance, evolution. It whispers that ancient words are outdated, that holiness is hate, that salvation can be downloaded or designed. And the masses, weary of war and fear, nod their heads and say yes. The world is desperate for a savior, and desperation is the perfect soil for delusion. When chaos increases, a leader will rise promising peace, a system will emerge promising order, and humanity will trade freedom for stability. It has happened before, and prophecy says it will happen again. The pattern repeats because hearts repeat. History does not move in circles, it spirals toward a point of decision. The illusion of progress blinds us to the erosion of conscience. Empires are not collapsing from invasion, but from corruption within. We have more wealth, more knowledge, more connection than any age before, yet anxiety and emptiness rule the human heart. We chase artificial intelligence while neglecting eternal wisdom. We dream of colonizing new worlds while destroying the one we were given. We speak of awakening, but we are sleepwalking toward a cliff. Still, in the middle of the darkness, there is a whisper, a voice that does not shout over the chaos but calls from within it. It says, "Come out of the noise, come back to me." This voice does not promise comfort without conviction. It promises truth that sets free. It offers a kingdom not built by corporations or governments, but by the unseen hand of grace. Every generation has mocked the prophets until their words came true. They laughed at Noah until the first drop of rain. They ignored Jeremiah until the gates burned. And today the pattern repeats: mockery followed by realization, pride followed by collapse. The book has already told us, hearts will fail from fear, nations will rise against nations, and people will call evil good and good evil. Yet this is not a message of doom. It is a summons to clarity. The darker the night, the brighter the light appears. And the light is not a theory, it is a person, a promise, a presence. When the world builds its tower to heaven again, it will once more learn that no ladder of pride reaches eternity. Only humility can lift the human heart that high. There is still time to remember who we are, to remember that prophecy was given not to terrify us, but to prepare us. When everything shakes, it reveals what cannot be shaken. When systems fail, it reveals the foundation that endures. And when the final convergence completes its circle, the faithful will not be caught by surprise. They will be standing, ready. The convergence continues even now. It moves through boardrooms and battlefields, through algorithms and ideologies, through headlines and human hearts. But for every counterfeit, there remains the original. For every false light, a greater light burns. The question is not when the end will come. The question is where your allegiance lies when it does. Will you follow the glow of the screen, or the still small flame that cannot be digitized? Will you believe the promise of control, or the promise of redemption? The choice has never been clearer, and the time has never been shorter. Prophecy is unfolding, not to destroy hope, but to direct it toward the only one who can fulfill it. Look up, for your redemption draws near. The storm that began as whispers has now become a roar. Every continent feels it, the trembling of economies, the shaking of trust, the deep hunger for something real. The world speaks of unity, but unity without truth is only camouflage. Banners of peace wave while hearts remain divided, and the voice of conscience grows faint beneath the noise of progress. Across every culture, people are crying for stability. They want a single voice to end the confusion, a single system to manage the chaos, a single idea to heal the wounds. And in that longing lies the most dangerous promise of all, the promise of peace without repentance, order without righteousness, comfort without cost. It will sound holy. It will sound reasonable. But it will not be the truth. Throughout history, counterfeit peace has always come before collapse. When the heart drifts from truth, it must build idols of convenience to fill the void. Empires have done it with armies. Our generation does it with algorithms. We worship data, efficiency, reputation, things that glitter for a moment then vanish like vapor. Prophecy warned that the world would chase after an image that seems alive but is built by human hands. That image is not a statue of stone anymore. It is the reflection of humanity in its own machines. Look closely and you will see the pattern. The powers of earth promise protection but demand obedience. They offer a future but rewrite the past. They call darkness progress and label light as extremism. The prophets spoke of this inversion, a time when lies would be law and truth would be treason. We are watching that inversion unfold. But even here, hope is not lost. Every false light exposes the need for the true one. When imitation grows convincing, authenticity becomes priceless. This is why discernment is the currency of the end of the age. Not every miracle is divine. Not every voice that says Lord belongs to Him. The measure is love anchored in truth, not emotion detached from it. The counterfeit peace will seem unstoppable. Nations will sign agreements, economies will merge, and the world will breathe a sigh of relief. But underneath, the old foundations will crack. Moral conviction will be traded for moral convenience, and the freedom once cherished will dissolve into polite slavery. The human soul will feel the difference even if the headlines refuse to name it. Yet through all of this, a remnant remains. They are not loud, but they are awake. They remember the words of the teacher who said, "When these things begin to happen, lift up your heads." They know that darkness is not the end of the story. It is the backdrop for a greater light. So what must we do? First, resist the numbness. The greatest danger of our time is not persecution, but distraction. The enemy of souls does not need to destroy faith. He only needs to exhaust it. Guard your heart. Protect your attention. Do not let constant entertainment steal eternal awareness. Silence is not empty, it is sacred. In stillness, the Spirit still speaks. Second, live as if tomorrow were not guaranteed, because it never has been. Kindness is prophecy in action. Every act of mercy contradicts the darkness. Every moment of forgiveness breaks the cycle of deception. Prophecy is fulfilled not only in headlines but in human hearts that refuse to conform to evil. Third, remember that revelation is not an ending but a revealing. The shaking of the world is uncovering what was hidden all along: the fragility of pride, the emptiness of greed, the futility of control. And once the masks fall, only truth will remain standing. The convergence is reaching its peak. The line between genuine and counterfeit faith grows thinner each day. And soon, every soul will face a choice that cannot be delayed. No one can stand neutral forever. The final confrontation is not fought with weapons but with allegiance, to the fleeting systems of men or to the eternal kingdom of light. Do not fear what comes. Fear only the temptation to compromise when it arrives dressed as compassion. The same power that sustained the faithful in every generation will sustain you now. For the author of prophecy is not an architect of terror, he is the giver of hope. His plan has never been about destruction but redemption. So lift your eyes from the chaos and remember the promise. When the dust settles, the kingdom that cannot be shaken will remain. Truth will outlast deception. Love will outlast fear. And the light that dawns will never set again. The world has been lulled into a false calm. Nations celebrate treaties, markets rise, and the people breathe a sigh of relief. But peace built on compromise is never real peace. It is glass, fragile and deceptive, reflecting light but unable to bear weight. The prophets warned that such a moment would arrive, when all seemed secure, yet all was hanging by a thread. Suddenly cracks appear. Promises unravel, alliances falter, and trust dissolves into suspicion. What was once celebrated as a solution now looks like a shadow. The illusions crumble, revealing the ambitions, greed, and pride that drove them. The world awakens too late to the truth that no human plan can substitute for divine wisdom. Every kingdom built without humility falters. Every system constructed without justice cracks. The deception that seemed so convincing now begins to expose itself. Those who trusted the glittering facade feel the emptiness beneath. Confusion spreads. Fear whispers in the streets. The masses who celebrated safety now scramble for stability, only to discover that control is never in human hands. And yet, even as panic rises, the faithful see a different picture. They recognize the unveiling for what it is, not chaos without reason, but prophecy in motion. History is full of such moments, though each generation believes its crisis is unique. Jerusalem itself has known countless sieges and betrayals. Empires have risen and fallen. Yet, through every collapse, a pattern emerges. Truth endures, deception perishes, and hope remains for those who look beyond the surface. The world may tremble, but eternity does not. In the spiritual realm, the unveiling has begun as well. False ideologies, counterfeit miracles, and misleading teachings are stripped bare. People who chased signs and wonders for the wrong reasons find themselves empty. The glitter fades, leaving only the soul exposed, asking the question, what do I truly stand for? The prophets foresaw this reckoning, a time when the counterfeit would be revealed and hearts would be tested as never before. And yet, not all despair. A remnant awakens amid the shaking. They understand that the collapse of false systems is not the collapse of hope, but its clearing. When the counterfeit falls, the genuine light becomes visible. Those who have clung to faith, who have chosen truth over comfort, now find clarity in the midst of confusion. The lesson is urgent. Discernment is now more critical than ever. Do not be distracted by the glitter of temporary solutions. Do not chase after the voices that promise order without righteousness. The world will offer comfort for a price, but the faithful must remain anchored to principles that do not waver. Truth is revealed not in applause but in endurance. And as the counterfeit crumbles, so too does the illusion of control. Nations will attempt to govern through fear and manipulation, but fear can never substitute for justice. The people will cry out, yet the answer is not in politics or technology. It is in alignment with the eternal law that governs hearts, not just borders. The convergence is reaching a visible peak. The pieces of human ambition, technological power, and spiritual deception are all laid bare. And in this moment, every observer must choose: remain seduced by fleeting illusions, or seek the eternal light that no collapse can extinguish. History is watching, and so is the soul. But the story is not yet over. Even as the false peace shatters, a new opportunity emerges, the awakening of humanity to its true purpose. The faithful see this as a time to rise, to act with courage, and to illuminate the path for others. Prophecy has revealed the dangers. It now calls for deliberate, resolute response. The message echoes through every generation. When the glitter fades, the light remains. When kingdoms crumble, truth endures. When deception is exposed, the faithful are strengthened. This is the turning point, the moment where the final convergence begins to show its true contours. And for those who are watching, listening, and choosing wisely, the path forward is clear. Cling to truth, embrace endurance, and prepare for the renewal that follows revelation. The world is reeling. Every promise of stability, every plan of man has shown its cracks. Nations that once claimed control now stumble, exposed in their limitations. People who once trusted systems and leaders are awakening to the truth. Human power is fleeting, and no creation of man can substitute for eternal wisdom. This is the moment of disillusionment. It is not chaos without reason. It is clarity born of the collapse of falsehood. Those who chased comfort find it slipping through their fingers. Those who clung to convenience realize it was an illusion. And yet, amid the disappointment, a spark ignites, a spiritual awakening unlike any before. Awakening does not roar like a storm. It whispers, it nudges, it shines quietly into hearts that are willing to see. People begin to question the narratives they accepted. They begin to recognize the emptiness of pursuits that once seemed so vital. And in that questioning, the seed of discernment grows. It is a reminder that prophecy is not meant to terrify, but to prepare. Every warning, every vision, every ancient word has been a lamp, guiding humanity toward recognition of what truly matters. The collapse of the counterfeit is the unveiling of the eternal. It exposes the fleeting for what it is, and it reveals the enduring for what it always was. The awakening spreads quietly, but relentlessly. Communities that once followed the crowd begin to seek truth. Leaders who spoke of progress without principle are ignored. Voices of wisdom, patience, and courage rise above the clamor. The faithful discover that they were never powerless. They were only waiting for clarity. Now, clarity has arrived. Yet the journey is not easy. The world is still filled with confusion, temptation, and allurements of ease. False paths continue to glitter. The shadow of deception lingers, even as the light grows brighter. It tests the resolve of those who have awakened. Will they cling to the truth, even when it is unpopular? Will they hold to conviction, even when it costs them comfort? Prophecy has always called for endurance. The faithful are not promised a life free of trials. They are promised a strength that cannot be shaken, a foundation that cannot collapse. In a world that trembles, they stand firm. In a society that wavers, they remain steady. In a generation that forgets, they remember. And the beauty of awakening is revealed in action. Small acts of courage, whispers of love, and moments of sacrifice illuminate the darkness. Every heart turned toward truth becomes a beacon. Every voice that resists deception strengthens the chorus of the faithful. The awakening is both personal and collective, individual and universal. It is a rising tide of clarity sweeping through a world that once walked in shadow. The emotional climax is not in the collapse itself, but in the response it evokes. Some despair and fall. Others awaken and rise. The difference lies not in circumstances, but in allegiance. Those who choose the eternal over the temporary are prepared for the unfolding revelation. Those who chase after illusions are left to witness the futility of what they trusted. Prophecy has led to this moment. The convergence of human ambition, spiritual deception, and divine truth is now unmistakable. The faithful see the unfolding pattern. Every challenge, every trial, every false promise is shaping a new reality. A reality where truth is visible and deception can no longer hide. The awakening continues to grow, sweeping across nations, generations, and hearts. And as it does, the faithful realize a profound truth. The world's systems will crumble, its false idols will fail, but the eternal kingdom endures. Light shines brightest in the darkness, and hope rises strongest after despair. Now is the time to stand. Now is the time to act with clarity, courage, and conviction. The final convergence is revealing its purpose, not to destroy but to awaken, not to terrify but to illuminate, not to confuse but to clarify. The faithful are being prepared for what comes next. And those who choose wisely will see that even in the collapse of the world around them, there is a higher order, a restoration waiting to unfold. The question remains, will you see it? Will you awaken in time to align with truth? Will you choose the eternal light over fleeting shadows? For in the heart of the final convergence, the answer to that question defines everything. Amid the shaking of nations, the fall of systems, and the fading of illusions, a remnant emerges. Not loud, not ostentatious, but steadfast. Those who have chosen discernment over deception, conviction over convenience, truth over applause. They are the ones who stand when others stumble, who speak when others remain silent, who act when others hesitate. The remnant is never the majority. It is never the ones celebrated by the crowd. But it is always the ones remembered in history, the ones upon whom the foundation of hope rests. They are the living proof that prophecy is not just about calamity, but about preparation. These faithful few rise in a time when the world demands compromise. When every voice offers comfort at the expense of truth, they resist. When every system promises order at the cost of freedom, they refuse. When the glare of false miracles dazzles the masses, they look deeper, seeking authenticity. And in doing so, they become a light in the darkness. Every act of courage, every word spoken with integrity, every choice made for righteousness strengthens the invisible network of truth. Though the world may mock them, overlook them, or even oppose them, the remnant knows they are aligned with something eternal, something unshakable, something beyond human comprehension. The challenges they face are immense. Temptations abound at every turn, promises of safety, wealth, and influence. The allure of conformity is relentless. But the remnant remembers, the price of surrendering truth is eternal, while the cost of perseverance is temporary. Their vigilance is their armor, their faith their shield. And the world watches as these few rise above the chaos. Their presence exposes the fragility of counterfeit power. Every false system falters when confronted by integrity. Every illusion trembles when touched by clarity. Every deception loses momentum when confronted by unwavering light. The remnant's strength is not in numbers, but in alignment with principles that cannot fail. Their loyalty is not to kingdoms of men, but to the eternal kingdom that governs all. They understand that true power does not come from dominion, wealth, or influence, but from the courage to stand firm when all else crumbles. The revelation of truth unfolds through them. As the counterfeit peace collapses, as false promises shatter, as the chaos grows, they shine as beacons of hope. The world may despair, but they act as living proof that light persists. They embody endurance, faith, and the reality that prophecy is fulfilled not only in events, but in the hearts of those who embrace it. This remnant does not act for glory. They do not seek recognition or reward from the eyes of men. Their allegiance is higher, their vision eternal. They know that the unveiling of truth is not a spectacle for the masses, but a journey for those willing to stand, to persevere, and to witness the ultimate restoration. The convergence continues, but its nature is changing. It is no longer merely the clash of deception and ambition. It is becoming the revelation of what endures, the triumph of clarity over confusion, the illumination of light over shadow. And those who belong to the remnant see it. They see the patterns, the signs, the subtle alignments of events that others dismiss as coincidence. They understand that endurance is rewarded not with ease, but with insight. They understand that while the world chases fleeting power, they are anchored in eternal truth. As the final moments of deception unravel, the faithful stand ready. Not in fear, not in doubt, not in hesitation, but in courage, in clarity, in unwavering conviction. For the remnant knows that the convergence was never meant to trap them, but to prepare them, to awaken them, to show them the enduring path. And in the silence after the storm, in the clarity that follows chaos, the faithful recognize the ultimate truth. While empires fall, while illusions fade, while humanity trembles, the kingdom that cannot be shaken remains. Light shines. Truth endures. Hope prevails. The storm has passed, but the world is forever changed. The illusions that once dazzled humanity lie in ruins, scattered like dust upon the wind. The counterfeit peace, the hollow promises, the seductive lies, all are exposed for what they truly were. And in their collapse, a new clarity emerges, like dawn breaking over a darkened land. Those who remained faithful now see with eyes unclouded. They perceive patterns in history that were hidden from the unobservant. They understand that every trial, every deception, every false hope was part of a greater unveiling. Prophecy is not simply prediction, it is revelation, an invitation to discern, to choose, and to stand firm. Restoration begins quietly, yet with undeniable power. Communities that were fragmented begin to rebuild upon principles that endure. Truth becomes the foundation of every decision, every action, every relationship. Where chaos reigned, order arises, not order imposed by human ambition, but order anchored in eternal wisdom. The faithful witness a transformation both outward and inward. Nations may stumble and fall, yet the human heart, awakened to discernment, flourishes. The remnant grows not in numbers alone, but in depth, in courage, in spiritual insight. They understand that restoration is not a return to the past, but the emergence of something greater, a vision of humanity aligned with the principles of truth and righteousness. And so the convergence reveals its ultimate lesson. Deception can be powerful, but it is temporary. Systems built on lies may rise high, but they crumble at the first touch of eternity. The world is reminded that no human scheme, no technological marvel, no political alliance can replace the every individual who chooses discernment, courage, and truth, participates in the unfolding renewal. The awakening is complete not when the world conforms. This is the essence of prophecy fulfilled. Humanity is reminded of its higher calling, and those who listen rise to it. The final convergence is more than a story of chaos and collapse. It is a story of revelation, endurance, and the triumph of eternal truth. It reminds humanity that while systems may fall, light remains. While illusions may dazzle, wisdom endures. While deception may deceive, the heart aligned with truth cannot be shaken. The world may continue to test, to tempt, and to challenge, but the faithful are now prepared. They know that every shadow has a purpose, every trial is a teacher, and every convergence leads to clarity. The light is rising. The truth is prevailing. And for those who have chosen wisely, the journey is only beginning toward a reality anchored not in fleeting power, but in eternal principle. The convergence has reached its culmination. The illusions have fallen, the counterfeit has been exposed, and the awakening has spread across hearts and nations alike. What remains is the eternal truth, standing firm against the tide of chaos. This is the moment to reflect, to act, and to carry forward what has been revealed. The story of the final convergence is not merely a warning, it is a call. Every act of courage, every choice of truth, every moment of endurance is a spark in the unfolding restoration. Lift your eyes. See the patterns. It prevails. It restores. It renews. The story does not end with the collapse of falsehood. It begins with the rise of clarity, courage, and hope. The faithful are not merely survivors, they are witnesses to the unfolding of truth. They are participants in the revelation that has been promised since the beginning. And their journey continues, anchored in what cannot be shaken. So let this be the message carried beyond the screen, beyond the headlines, beyond the noise. The world may falter. False promises may fall. Deception may rise and spread. But eternal truth endures. Light overcomes darkness. Hope outlasts despair. And those who choose wisely will never be alone, for they are aligned with the only kingdom that cannot fail. The convergence has ended, but the mission continues. Stand. Watch. Discern. Illuminate. The world is awake now, and so are you.